Academy Award-winning stars. Our guest today on Omelette, George Kennedy from The Blue Knight, plays the role of Bumper Morgan. You know, I was listening to you in another interview earlier talking about you really like to do comedy. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, wouldn't you really like to be the tall, handsome leading man, which you could be, and get the girl for change?
Oh, it wouldn't be bad. I've often envied, like Cary Grant is my example of what everybody on Earth should look like if they're male. But you know, he'll look better 3 days dead than I do right now. So I don't fool around with it.
Have you ever really had a chance to get the romantic?
Yeah, there was well, a few times. There was one particular film which we did, Vera Miles and I did for television, which was just marvelous, and it was marvelously received. It was called A Great American Tragedy, and Vera played my wife. And Vera and I are very close friends now. I love her dearly, and vice versa. But it was neat to, because Vera is one of the spectacular-looking ladies of all times anyway. The oddity of it being that she's such a neat lady to boot. So it happens occasionally.
But you really would like to do, not stand-up comedy, but you'd like to be
no, Carol Burnett and I did about 4 years ago at the Huntington Hartford Theater in Los Angeles. We did a very short run of Plaza Suite. We were sold out for the entire run. It was tremendously well received, to the extent that Howard Koch, who produced Plaza Suite in the movie, said that if he had it to do again, he wouldn't have cast it the way he cast it, and he would have had Carol and I do it. We had standing room only, and I like comedy, and I enjoy people who are funny. So I would really like to do that.
What about the role itself? How long would you like to see The Blue Knight go on?
I can't answer that. One of the terrifying things, and I use the word advisedly about television, is the amount of hours it takes out of any given day. It just seems, you know, because I'm not 14 anymore, it is, it's just that after 14 hours in a day, I'm pretty well shot down. And after 14 hours, 5 days in a row, the weekend sometimes to me, or the better part of it, is just laying in bed watching the dogs run outside, or it doesn't leave, I don't have the kind of energy that would make me want to go run out to the golf course at 8 o'clock the next morning. That's what's scary about, you know, a terribly long run on television. It doesn't allow time for anything but that. It
doesn't limit you as far as roles because you're such an established actor in so many different
Well, it's only limiting in the sense that we're talking about. If you're doing that 5 days a week, I mean, and then, for example, were we to do, let's say, 26 of these, we wouldn't finish until next April or something in there. Then you would have 3 months off and be back doing it again. Now, you could fit a feature in there if you wanted to.
Tightly.
But my idea would be, you know, forget it. I'm going to Hawaii, or I'm going anywhere, you know. I don't want to do anymore.
What do you do for relaxation? I noticed one of your things you like to do is play tennis. Milton Metz is a great tennis
player. Is okay.
How are you on the court? You know, sometimes some guys take it so. Are you a sore loser?
Oh no, the guy that gets out there and he's going to kill me to death or something. Fine, find a new partner, because I'm not going to play with you twice.
You don't play that way.
No, I mean the idea is to get out there and relax. I understand Jimmy Caan is that way. I understand there are a few actors that got to kill you. Well, kill somebody else. I haven't got time for all of that.
So
I'll hit the ball back.
when you lose a game, you just...
I lose a game, fine. You know, it's the same way with golf. I like to go out and play golf with 3 cronies. They can be males, or they can be males and females. I don't care. And let's have a good time and talk to each other. I'm rooting for you just the same as I'm not Jack Nicklaus. I'd rather enjoy the day.
That's the best approach, I think. What about the show? Are you pleased with the way it's going? You think it's a very realistic
Yeah, we're better this
portrayal?
year than we were last year. I think we've always tried to be realistic. We started so quickly last year, we couldn't get our wheels under us until we were sailing a little bit. We are better this year. Whether the public buys us totally or they don't, that's up for them to decide. But we're a little bit more established this year, and it'll be a better show.
What about making the step into movies and career in the entertainment world? It was fairly easy for you, wasn't it? Because you sort of got into that while you were still in the military.
I hit on a good time for big guys in Hollywood. No, quite literally now. If I had gone out there 10 years earlier, the time that Alan Ladd and John Garfield and Humphrey Bogart and Edward G. Robinson, these were all relatively short men, and I do come in at 6'4.5" or 6'5", whatever. I couldn't have gotten arrested out there then, but the time I got there, you had Wayne, John Wayne had gone through all of that, but then you had Jim Arness and Chuck Connors and Clint Walker and a whole bunch of big dudes out there who were, if they beat up a little guy, it looks awful.
Mm-hmm.
So they beat up me.
I wanted to ask you about that. You know, sometimes you see these guys who play tough, and maybe they aren't as large as you, and when they're out seeing the sights around town, somebody will say, well, you're not so tough. I'm going to come up and give you a try. Do you ever have anybody try that with you when you're out?
Not much.
I wouldn't think so.
No, not much. And, you know, I learned a rule a long time ago in the service. If you've got to fight with somebody, end the fight. Hit them with a chair. End the fight. Don't let it go on. Don't be a movie hero or something, but normally not. And if the guy is just being belligerent or his wife is too drunk or something, like, leave. Pay your bill and leave. There's another bar. There's another someplace else.
What about your growing up period? Your parents were in showbiz to a certain extent, weren't they? And you got your first start at 2?
Well, it was because they were in show business. They were involved in vaudeville, and because I traveled with their company, and another vaudeville company needed a child actor to walk on stage, and everybody in the audience went, oh, isn't he pretty, what have you. And as long as you walked off without wetting the stage, you know, I did fine.
Well, did they push you into it? You know, some people are resentful of having...
I don't think they had to. I think every instinct I have is in that direction. So I don't think they had to push too hard. But if you were to ask me how good I was or how bad, I don't remember anything. The earliest memory I have is one I have when I was 4 years old. And that's the earliest memory I have of anything.
What
Maybe
was
you have,
it at 4?
Let's see, my father was throwing a guy out of the house.
Now that's visual enough for you.
It was very visual. I saw him land out on the thing out there, and I remember it. My father was...
I wonder what he'd done, George.
I'd rather not say.
We'll leave that. Do you remember your first acting role, really?
Yeah, well, the first one that made some money for me was... there used to be a television series called Sugarfoot, which Will Hutchins was in it. And I had just come out to Hollywood from New York, and they hired me. They said, hey, this guy's really... They thought I was somebody else, is really what happened. And they hired me anyway, and I did this Sugarfoot, and it worked, and the same director hired me back the next week on a Clint Walker show, and that's where that thing about being beat up by guys started to work.
Great to have you on Omelet. Thank you, and much success. George Kennedy.
Thank you.